Hello everybody, welcome to Live Art Mini. My name is Stephen Smith and we're coming to you live from Inside Out Studios in downtown Hamilton. We are located at 140 High Street and our retail store is now open. So we've got the hours of 10 to 4 o'clock Monday through Friday and then 10 to 2 on Saturday. So you can come and check out all the awesome artwork that's made by our artists here. Happy to announce that we're going to be opening to our artists as of June 1st. So we're going to be starting on it's going to be like a lesson schedule. We're not going to have as many artists in the studio, so we're going to be opening up to 7 artists, 3 staff. So we're going to keep it at 10 or less based upon the government standards there, but we are going to be open on June 1st. So if you are an artist out there watching with us today, hooray, you're going to be back here soon. So you will be contacted soon by our staff here, as well as your support coordinators. We're going to set that up, get your transportation, get you back into the studio soon. Such as Jody Mann, I hear that you're watching out there. Hello to Jody. Thanks for tuning in today. So also just want to kind of pull this aside here. We've got a little bit of cleaning that's happened. Hey, the studio's getting more organized. We are set for you guys to come back and get messy and get painting. We've got our painting wall ready to go. I'm not going to show you what the back of the studio looks like. I haven't got to that part yet, but it's going to be clean as well. So we're going to have a fresh, new, clean studio to walk back into. So today we're going to look at cartoons and caricatures. And while we start, I'm going to ask for 3 things. We're going to make this more of an interactive experience for a couple cartoon examples. So what I'm looking for is a mood in terms of how you feel, happy, sad, scared. Number 2, we need a shape. So any kind of shape that you want to throw at me. Number 3, we need some kind of animal. Nothing crazy. Throw an animal our way. So we've got Kim running the boards up in the office, so she's going to be relaying anything back to me. So if you're out there, feel free to say hi. We miss you guys. And then if you have, like I said, a mood, a shape, or an animal, go ahead and put those in the comment sections. I'm going to be using that in the first example as we start off today. So what we're looking at is cartoons and caricatures. Are they the same? Are they different? It's the debate that no one's had ever or cared to have. But I'm going to tell you the difference today between cartoons and caricatures. If you want to draw along with us, all you need is some paper. You got your yellow number 2s at home, as well as an eraser. And my favorite, you've got some Sharpie markers. We're going to just go with plain black today so you can see it on our drawing board. One reason that we're doing cartoons today is because our artists love some cartoons. Some of our artists are huge Disney fans. Brought some examples of some cute pieces. From the small, this is a piece done by Charity Wagers, nice little Christmas penguin. We've got a variation on Winnie the Pooh by Kara Bergdorf. And then we have a nice holiday piece by David Smith. I'd say these all are categorized as cartoon pieces because they're simplified, playful, and whimsical. I'm not sure if you're local to Hamilton or the area, you might have remembered Frank Prickett. He did a lot of drawings along High Street, and he was also out on Main Street as well. And he also would sell stuffed animals as well. But we have a few pieces. He actually attended the studio before he passed a number of years ago. So here's a Frank Prickett original of The Incredible Hulk. Example of some cartoon pieces done here in the studio. So what is a cartoon? What is a caricature? What's the difference? So I got a couple of definitions up here before we look at some cartoons. So a cartoon would just be considered a quick and simple illustration done in a whimsical style. So the key there is simple. So cartoons can be done with basic shapes. It doesn't matter if someone's head is a square, rectangle, or circle. You can turn it in like Hey Arnold had a football-shaped head, if you remember him. So it's quick and simple illustration style, whereas a caricature has to look like a person. So a caricature, if you've ever done something while you're on vacation or maybe Kings Island, have someone draw your portrait in a simplified way, is it has to look like you in that case, or it has to look like a specific person by exaggerating their features. So you could consider a caricature a cartoon, but not all cartoons are caricatures. And a big hello out there to David Campbell. I hear that you are watching as well. Mo made my life difficult and recommended a sloth, so we'll see what I can do with that. So let me fade back over here. Ooh, there we are. I'm going to show you some examples of famous cartoons first. So we're going to go with the quick and simple idea of this guy. Look at that, Charlie Brown. Pretty much is created with just circles and half circles. You can't get much simpler than that. We've got a large circle head, 2 half circle ears, a half circle nose, as well as mouth. We've got a modern cartoon here. This is Steven Universe. So even though in simplicity, you can still capture a lot of expression through eyes, mouth, eyebrows. We'll be talking about that today. And then, of course, you have SpongeBob SquarePants. So literally using a shape square in terms of the pants to describe the character. And then the sponge itself is a square, just some circles on there. So we're looking at simplified, quick, illustrative styles to create cartoons. Let's start with that. Let's get my camera in focus here. Here we go. So we're going to start with cartoons today. And what we're going to do is some comparing and contrasting. So the first thing I'm going to put over here to this side, we need focus, is I'm going to have the realish example. I'm going to put ish on there because it's not going to be completely photorealistic. At this point, I am going to switch to a pencil. I should recommend that before I jump in with a Sharpie. So if you're drawing at home, there's no shame in the game of doing a sketch first. So that's what I always do, is just draw things in lightly with the pencil, because you know you can always go back and erase anything that you don't like there. So we've got a realish oval, because that's what most head shapes are. I'm going to do a line across and a line through the middle. So this is for symmetry reasons. If we're doing a face or a head, the eyes would generally be located in the middle of the head. You want to locate the nose. That guy's a little bit off. I'm going to scoot him over here to the left. You've got the nose and the mouth located centrally along the center of the head. So my realish dude's over here, and I'm going to start some other cartoons over here to this side. We don't have a mood yet, so I'm going to go with the mood of surprised. So we're going to have a surprised human. And I don't have a shape yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and draw one in. I'm going to go with a square robot. And I'll do my best to attempt a sloth cartoon over here. Let's see what that turns out. Thanks again, though, for that. So let's go with surprised human. Like I said, any shape could be your face or head. So we said, hey, Arnold had the football shape. We've got, let's see, let's go with a triangle shape. How about that? So I'm going to go with a triangle-shaped head for the surprised human. So what we're doing now is just focusing on basic shapes, such as square. So I'm going to have a square robot. And in general, I think sloths are round, so I'm going to go with a round shape for that too. It doesn't have to be a circle, it doesn't have to be an oval. It's just going to be round-ish. So I've got my basic head shapes. It could be anything. You could do a head shape that's a tall rectangle. Like I said, SpongeBob was just kind of a wavy square. Any shape you want. So for the surprised human, we're going to jump to the eyes next. Now, on our realish human, the eyes are located in the middle of the head, and they're about that scale. They're separated by an eye width from each other. But what's cool about cartoons is you don't have the laws of realism you have to abide by. You can do whatever you want. So, for surprise, think about the eyes of a surprised person. They're very open, they're very wide. So I'm going to do two very large eyes. I'm actually going to do one that's a little bit smaller, one that's a little bit bigger. And then for the pupils themselves, I'm going to make them completely visible. I'm just going to jump over here to the Sharpie marker for an example. So when you're doing realistic eyes, usually the pupils are cut off by the top eyelid. You wouldn't usually see the whole pupil of someone unless they're really surprised. So we're going to exaggerate that for our cartoon. So we've got some exaggerated eyes right there. And then with eyes, we also have eyebrows. And they're just popping off the head. Like we said, when you're doing cartoons, you don't have the laws of realism, real life to deal with. So I'm just going to have the eyes and the eyebrows popping off the head there. So I'm going to jump back up here for the square robot, thinking about the eyes. Maybe I want an evil robot. So while we're talking about eyes and the shapes and how we can manipulate that to convey emotion, we're going to have the eyebrows and the eyebrows because it's a robot, but the angle of the eyes coming down and in. And this direction right here, I'm just going to go ahead and accentuate with the arrows, leads to a negative, darker expression, some anger in there. And then we're going to have two little light bulbs for our robot eyes. That looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and darken those in with the Sharpie to make them pop out more for you. Just like it said, that coming down and in at an angle usually has a darker, angry connotation to the eyes right there. So for the sloth, we always think of the sloths as being lazy and slow. Let me check in here. I've got Brett saying hi. Hello, Brett. And Jonathan McDowell from Inside Out are also watching. I hope you guys are having a good time. I hear that Pam Green down at Easter Seals is enjoying it as well. So for sloth, let's see, we're going to have some heavy lids on it, like a sleepy sloth. Trying to do a sloth nose. I have no clue what a sloth nose looks like, but we'll get through this together, won't we, everybody? So we're going to go with a heavy-lidded sloth over here. He's kind of sleepy. Do sloths have ears? If anyone would like to comment and help me out of sloth facial details, it would be much appreciated right now as well. Alright, so we've got some sleepy, heavy-lidded eyes over here to the right. So next thing that's going to have a lot of exaggeration and a lot of expression to it is going to be the mouth. So, like I said, I'm going to pencil it in first. I'm thinking of the expression for a surprise, like the oh face, like, oh, like I just saw something. I'm really surprised. I can't believe it. Short and simple like that. So with the square robot I've got going, he seems pretty angry, so I'm going to have the grimace face. I have him clenching his teeth. He's very angry about something. Since he's a robot, maybe it's a grid. So this is kind of like the speaker that he communicates with. But the shape of the speaker has this grimace to it, so he's very angry. We're going to go ahead and darken those in. I'm going to make this very mechanical and sharp edge since he's a robot, probably made out of metal. So what's cool about cartoons is you can get much more exaggeration than out of realism. So this guy's pretty boring over here. I call this a self-portrait. It's kind of meh. So we're going to move on to the sloth. I've got the sloth nose. And then let's see. He's got a frowny face. Kind of looks like meh. It's like a poorly drawn emoji. You can't win them all, everybody. But we've got the downturned sloth face right there. We're going to start to wrap up this section of the show. Thank you. We've got Kim sending me a sloth picture to help me out here. It's much cuter than what I've got going on, but since I've got the Sharpie on the board, there's no going back from here. So let's go ahead and wrap up some of these cartoons, because I do want to introduce you, if you've never seen the work of C.F.Payne before. He's a Cincinnati illustrator. I'm finishing my little human here. He's just going to have a little bit of hair. And C.F.Payne is famous around the country. He's done children's books. He's done murals in Cincinnati. This guy, let's see, he's got some stubble going on down there. Very surprised there. Robot, I think he needs an antenna. He's very angry about something. He's going to report it back to home base. So if you want to do some cartoons at home, you can see there's really no rules, there's no limitations to it. Try to wrap my sloth. I'm just going to, let's pretend this was never a sloth. This is just a grumpy old character. This is actually looking more like a mustache to me. So I'm just going to add a little sad face there. This is my sad little man because he couldn't be a sloth. Let's at least give him a nice little hairstyle. Alright, so that wraps up some of our simplistic cartoons there. I'm going to bring you the artwork of C.F.Payne now. First thing we're going to pull up is the singing mural down in Cincinnati. So if you take a look at this, you might have seen it down just off of Central Parkway. It's on the, I believe it's the KET building. It's right on the back side of Music Hall. So what's really cool about this is it was designed by C.F.Payne for artworks and has a cast of characters from PBS shows and also other famous individuals. I believe there is Elton John on the back left there. You've got Grover from Sesame Street, of course. Mr. Rogers is front and center in the middle, right by a Cincinnati police officer, and Mr. Redlegs on the bottom right. So C.F.Payne, here's his portrait here. He is a Miami University grad. Woo-hoo! And also a famous illustrator, like I said, all around the country. He's had Time magazine covers, he's been on Sports Illustrated, but he still does a lot of local Cincinnati drawings. So here's a tailgate party for one of the Bengals games. You've got Neil Young. So one thing that's cool about C.F.Payne is he loves sports, he loves music, so that's generally what his artwork revolves around when he's not doing commissions for national magazines, like I said. We've got George Lucas, and then Marty and Joe from the Reds. And if you're familiar with Joe Nuxall Miracle League's field, you can see this illustration that was designed by C.F.Payne. It's in the left field on the wall in the back there. It's really, really large scale, so go and check that out. I think that was just added in the past year or so. But C.F.Payne, here he is once again. Very famous caricature artists. So what we said, I'm going to pull the technical difficulties really quick. Fade you back up here. So what we did say about caricature is it's an illustration made to look like a specific person. So it has to be recognizable. Generally you want to stick with celebrities. Or like I said, you might go out and while you're on vacation or at Kings Island, have one of the artists there do yours. So we are going to attempt a caricature here today. We'll get a fresh sheet. I am going to pull out Mr. Bob Ross. We're going to attempt a Bob Ross caricature live and in person today. We do have some visitors up in the store. I hope they buy a lot of things. Just shameless. So while we're getting ready, I was going to share a few examples I was working on yesterday for the caricatures, one of which would be Princess Leia from Star Wars. So this is more, I'd say, probably a cartoon because it does not resemble Carrie Fisher, but it is recognizable as Princess Leia. I had to do Baby Yoda. This one goes out to Jamie Shorsh. She's a huge Baby Yoda fan. I love The Mandalorian. A lot of our artists love Elvis Presley, so I had to do the King. So you got to get that signature hairstyle and facial expression. Whenever you're drawing the King, make sure you use the king-size Sharpies. The dad jokes are free, everybody. I tried my hand at Taylor Swift here. And then also did a self-portrait for the promo. Like I said, you always start with a pencil just to get your lines down first. So I'm going to bring it up close. You might be able to see the pencil lines really light in the background. You get the lines where you want to with the pencil, erase the ones that you don't want, and then ink with a Sharpie, and you're good to go. So we said we're looking at a recognizable face, and we're exaggerating the features. So one thing that obviously stands out about Bob Ross is his afro, his hairstyle. So we're going to give some exaggeration to that. We're going to make a huge circle for the hair in proportion to the face. So one thing that you see in the work of C.F.Payne and also caricature artists is they're playing with proportions. They're exaggerating and making larger the facial features that are more prominent and stand out, and shrinking those that don't. And then one thing that I'm seeing about Bob Ross are his eyes are pretty thin. He's got that huge smiling face, so when you smile really big, your eyes tend to look a little bit smaller based upon your cheeks pushing out. And then I'm going to get some proportions down, just a vertical line right through the middle to make sure that the nose and the mouth are lined up. So one thing I see about Bob is he's got a pretty broad nose. So I'm going to draw this in. And then the mustache to the beard. So we want to exaggerate the mustache just a little bit. Make it extra big to go with this extra large afro. And then his large smile underneath. So one thing to accentuate a smile is to round the cheeks. So what I like to do is an exaggerated sketch as well. Just be free with your pencil marks because you know that you can ink over top, get rid of them later, so you got those nice big round cheeks. I want to make the mouth even wider, really big smile. And then as I start the sketch over and over, I really start to envision what that final image is going to look like. So he's got kind of a ball for a chin, and he's also got the beard coming off of there. I start to see Bob Ross in the sketch. So I'm going to keep the eyes fairly small, really accentuate the lines under the eye to make that smile extra big. Give him some bushy eyebrows, some happy eyebrows. Add some curls to the edge. Add some texture to the hair. And I'm going to go for the Sharpie marker now. I'm going to ink right over top of that. It's going to make it more prominent and stand out a little bit more. I always like to leave a little highlight in the eye, a little white of the paper showing through. And add some creases and accent lines there. That's going to make that smile even bigger. I'm just going to go ahead and ink in the eyebrows right there. And one thing you want to shoot for, obviously, is you're going for a realistic look to your caricature to some degree. It's making sure the eyes line up. They're not looking in two different directions. So I'm going to move out here to the cheeks. I'm just going to add a little highlight on that cheek, make it look like it's standing out more. Bring in some lines for the noses. I always tend to go simpler on the noses. It's easy to make a funky looking nose. So I try to be as simple as possible when doing those. So that should do it right there, just right across that. So let's move on down. We've got a few smile lines coming off that nose for the cheeks. And then we're going to jump down here to the mustache. And then just add some texture in as you're making the marks and inking it in over top of your pencil lines. What I like to do, and what's really cool about going over top of pencil with the Sharpie marker, is after you let that Sharpie dry for a few minutes, you can just take a huge eraser, go over top of the whole thing and get rid of all the pencil marks. All right, I'm starting to dig my Bob Ross now. Let's do a row of teeth. You don't want to be too detailed with the teeth. It starts to look like it's got some corn on the cob in his mouth. When you try to draw every single tooth, it does look a little weird. forgot an eyebrow up there. Okay, let's head on down. We're moving down to the beard. Just kind of fill in, instead of being a defined bottom line to his face, we're just going to fill it in with texture and hair. He doesn't have a full beard. It's kind of full at the very, very bottom. But then there's less hair around the chin. You can see some definition there. So I'm just going to few little stray hairs in there. Alright, I'm going to do some outlining around his afro. Just some texture to fill that in. Maybe he's got some ears poking out from around here until the hair takes over again. Nice and round, full head of hair for Bob right there. Turn around, look at the screen. Looks like it's a little flat on this side. I'm going to bring that down. I could always go back and correct that. Add in some darkness. At that point, always carry a few different sizes of Sharpie. You can start to fill in with this king size. And I'm a big fan of using texture as you color as well. So as you're doing this large, expansive hair, also go in a curling motion. You'll see little pops of white showing through the page, and that helps to show the texture. I think that's a good place to stop for the day, or if you have another 15 minutes, you could watch me curl in his hair, which I won't do. But I did do another example of Bob Ross yesterday. It's always fun to try a few different times for different faces. There's always something else that you get to learn. Maybe you do the eyes right one time, maybe you do the mouth better another time. It's kind of pulled together, and it's just fun to practice as always. We're going to practice, practice, practice. So thanks for joining us today. Have fun, make some cartoons. So we said keep it simple. Your main points of exaggeration and facial expressions are going to come from your eyes and your mouth for the reactions. And also thinking about the shapes, can be whatever you want. Triangle head, square head, round head. Could be an animal, could be an alien, could be a robot, could be a person. So there's really no limits with cartoons, so have fun, play with that. Maybe you'll come up with a character you like. Maybe you want to turn it into a comic strip, who knows. But then for caricatures, the main difference between a caricature and a cartoon is that there's some exaggerated facial features, something that resembles a specific person. So it should be recognizable, whether it's me or Elvis. So there's going to be some facial qualities that you recognize there. So I do want to share the artwork of another artist with you. It's not caricature or cartoon. It's more of an expressive quality. This is the artwork of the late Alicia Jones. I just loved her pieces. She did this picture of James Brown here that had such exaggeration and a lot of expression to it. And then I did the Elvis for her because she loved herself some Elvis. This is a piece that she painted a couple of years ago. So Elvis was one of her favorites, and she probably painted him at least 20 or more times. So just wanted to share her work with you. As always, we're going to be putting this on our YouTube channel, so you can look up any of our previous live art minis as well as this one in the next couple days. If you search for Inside Out Studio on YouTube, or you can check the comments, Kim's going to be posting that for you as well. And then next week, we are going to be doing some watercolor examples and techniques. So if you don't have any watercolors at home, you could go to the store if you're out and just get like little tray style watercolors. We're not going to do anything too fancy or professional. We're going to keep it simple, and I'm going to be showing you some quick and easy techniques to make some interesting watercolors. And then until then, stop by the store, check out what the artists are making. If you're an artist yourself, June 1st is going to be when the studio is back open for you. Like I said, we're going to have a slightly different schedule based upon the rules and regulations we're following from the state. So look forward to hearing from myself, a member of the team from Easter Seals or Butler County Board of BD, as well as your support coordinator, and we're going to get you scheduled and in here making art again at Inside Out Studio. So to all of you out there, thanks for tuning in, and then we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.